Alright guys, so I put a plug in the top of the cooler. It was just a cheap plug off Amazon, honestly. So it had like a weird fit. It just kept threading in. Usually brass fittings kind of flare out as you get down the threads. So it won't ever really like bottom out like this one did. And I felt like if I kept threading it, it was just going to go into the cooler itself. So I went to Ace and actually bought a cap style one. Even though those ones look a little bit better, the one that's in there, I'd feel a little bit safer having a cap where it has a stop. So I'm going to pull this guy out, put that one in, and then where the front end is all pushed back into its normal positioning, we've got all 6 bolts, 3 on this side and 3 on this side, torqued down. Double checked the torque on the crankshaft pulley, and it was actually loose on a couple of bolts, so I'm really glad that I didn't go ahead and start driving the car and get the whole front end put back together before checking that. We've got the stabilizer bar that connects the front end to kind of like the engine, or I guess that's like the subframe mount. We've got that tight on both sides. We've got the resonated mid pipes installed on the car. I do have to tighten each clamp, and I don't think I'm going to put the heat shields back on just because I don't really need them rattling underneath the car. But we do have to put the cross brace back in the front here, and then get the clamps on this side and the clamp over there, and then these clamps in the middle. We still do have to take off the back side of the exhaust, but we're actually pretty close now. So yeah, we still have the AWE, the muffler pieces, or whatever you want to call these. It's just hollow, tinny sounding pipe. We still have these guys on. I do want to get all of this stuff gone and quiet the car down quite a bit, so depends on how warm it's going to be in the next few days. But anyway guys, it is really cold out here, so I'm going to call it a day. The Audi is coming along. We will be back at it tomorrow, so we should be on the home stretch within the next week. I would expect this thing to be totally done. I think the longest process is probably going to be welding the exhaust. That stuff is just as difficult. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Alright guys, so we are back for day 2 of working on the car this weekend, and we're going to be installing the center brace, or whatever you want to call that. We also do have, it's like a transmission insert to kind of stiffen up the bushing in the middle there, so we're gonna throw this guy in. Alright, so now on to the center brace. We got the little transmission mount piece put in fairly easily, honestly. So for this guy, we had 3 of these that came out because I had took the heat shield off, so we just got to make sure we put these square threaded inserts back in the right locations. So one there, one goes in here. Make sure the threads line up. You can see all the corrosion that was in all of these holes. It was so bad. And then one right up here. This is definitely a set the camera down somewhere else and hold it up kind of job. So I'm going to put you guys down and we'll get this thing started, and then I'll pick the camera back up. So give me 1 second. Alright guys, so I went ahead and got it hand tight. Sorry, it's like really tight under here, so can't film too well, but it is up there hand tight. Still a lot of play, as you can see. It can move up that much before we get it tightened. I was actually a little hesitant on getting started on this because On the mechanics notes, they had said that the power steering was leaking, so I am hesitant on tightening it down. Maybe I should just pull these lines real quick and see if the O-ring's bad, or changing the O-ring will change anything. I believe it is an O-ring that seals them, so I do have an O-ring kit, so I might actually just pull this thing back off. It's just hand tight, and loosen that and see if I can actually change the O-ring without hurting these lines any. They are hard lines, so you do have to be kind of careful, but I think there is enough wiggle room for me to pull it down slightly without messing anything up. So yeah, I might try that really quick. Okay, so I got the system drained and kind of see how things are working with those fittings. It doesn't use O-rings. As you can see, I have this cover off, and that just holds the lines in and kind of pushes them into the rack, where there are some plastic compression fittings, I guess is the best term. So that metal piece pushes down on each of these and forces them to seal up against a surface inside of the steering rack. So you get your power steering, of course, but yeah, there aren't O-rings, so we can't replace that. What I did was pull each one down individually and clean it, and you can see this is how it was leaking, or what it looked like when it was leaking. Of course, there's nothing pushing it up, so there's nothing really sealing it, so I would not be surprised if it was leaking at the moment. But it's just like a little drip of oil hanging down on the corner like that. So I went ahead, cleaned everything up, pulled each one down, sprayed it off with some brake cleaner, sprayed inside to make sure there was no debris in there messing with the sealing surface, and we are going to go ahead and just put it back together. Hopefully just a dirty surface or something in there obstructing. So yeah, we'll get this thing put back together and then throw that cross brace back on. Alright guys, so we got all of that stuff done. Cross brace is on underneath the car, and I think we're at a pretty good stopping point. So we're gonna call it good there and probably pick back up on this tomorrow. As you can see, there's like a puddle forming right where I was laying, so that wasn't very fun, but I think we got a decent amount done. I went ahead and started soaking the suspension arms in penetrating oil so we can go ahead and start getting close to getting those things off. I know that top pinch bolt is going to be a hassle, but yeah, hopefully soon we will have the car driving and you can finally cruise it around. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next videos.